So hi everyone. Today we have the pleasure of having Reggie on the call with us. So hi Reggie, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Kara?
I'm good. So we got to know Reggie during our frequent trips to KL pre-COVID. So he's a consultant entrepreneur with many expertise over various industries. And he also used to run big corporations all over the world. So an astute investor, motorcycle enthusiast, and all-around great personality. Reggie, thanks so much for jumping on this call with me. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about yourself.
All right. Thanks for having me. When you approached me, I thought that was very kind of you to think of me as an entrepreneur and an overall nice guy. That's please send me the recording and I'll give it to my wife as well.
Sure.
Okay, I'm a Malaysian, born in Malaysia, but for about 20 years, I left Malaysia, and as you said in your intro, I was CFO, COO, and CEO of multinational companies. I left Malaysia in year 2000, went over to Seoul, Korea, then 5 years there, 5 years in Melbourne, then the balance 12 over years in Shanghai. And I've been based in Shanghai, but traveling around the world, running a automotive component business as CEO. And I decided to take a sabbatical in November of 2019. The travel was getting to me and I thought I'll take a break for 6 months and see what happens. I came back and then the whole world went into sabbatical with me, with the COVID. So I've been at home in Malaysia since then. Was enjoying myself at home until lockdowns after lockdowns had me stationed in one place, which is frustrating because, as you just also mentioned, I like to ride my bike around Malaysia, and I can't do that at the moment. So I am. Well, I can't complain. I'm healthy. The family is healthy, and I'm sure we're going to get out of this soon. So that's about me, in very simple terms.
So yes, hopefully you'll be able to get out of this lockdown very soon and ride your bike. But yes, I'm glad that your family and you are all healthy and well. So you've been with us since December 2019. So can you recount what was like the deciding factor that made you sign up with ForexBriefcase?
You know, one of the regrets I have is that, I never got to know about these kind of investments when it's too busy anyway, running a company and traveling around the world. So when I came back, in part of coming back, I decided that if I'm going to take a 6-month break, I need to make sure that my cash is doing more than currently sitting in the bank. I mean, seriously, even in spite of me being a chartered accountant and running businesses and P&Ls, my investments have been mediocre at best. And so through actually my brother, who actually was doing a bit of Forex trading, not in the big terms as Jintao and you guys, but he knew through his research, and he said one day to me, he said, I'm going to meet Jintao. I want you to come with me. And so my wife and I actually met Jintao, my brother, in Kuala Lumpur. And the difference I found, first of all, Jintao came across very professional, explained the product and what he does. And for me, the key difference is he invests, basically we are following him. Therefore, his money is also in the same trade that he's doing, along with my investment. So which means that if he lose money, we lose money, we make money. Obviously, the only way we make money is Jintao will make money. And I think Jintao likes money. So most likely he will look after it like his own cash. And it's been wonderful. It's Forex is, everybody has a definitely negative connotations with it because there is certainly high risk. It is approached to the risk. You cannot say no risk, but the approach to risk is what is a key differentiator of FX Briefcase and Jintao in particular. Right? So the approach that he has, making sure that rule number one, that you don't lose your capital, and then obviously getting the best of the returns. At that time, remember, my threshold for investment return is anything above 5%, I'm happy, right? So when somebody tells me that you'll definitely get more than 5%, I'm already sold. And to minimize the risk, not say zero, but minimize the risk, the approach that he had was the key factor.
So do you also have like any expectations or ideas when you first started Briefcase?
Okay. Essentially, it was I had very low expectations, because to be frank, everything that I've heard about FX trading and people who have traded have all lost money, and because again they give their cash to a middle person, and that person actually gives it to a trader. So it's two steps removed from the real action, whether it is as it were. So that's part of the problem. So if I can get away from that middle person and actually get to the person actually doing the trade, then my expectation was very low. Now that once obviously Qingdao got me, saw the return in the first year, then I kept always pushing him and said, dude, what's happening this month? And what's happening this month, And up to now, he's not. We've had obviously a few months, I think beginning of last year in April, when really the FX market was going all over the place. We did actually not get any returns for that month, I think, in April of last year. But it's always been, zeros. Some months are zero, but some of the months are more. Than overall, we average out a lot better than my expectations. So I started with low expectations, but expectations are like a drug, isn't it? I mean, once you give the good returns, you want some more. But you guys been very professional in terms of managing that expectations and managing that risk. So yeah, it's been really, 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 really good.
That's fantastic news. So whilst you managed to attain a gross ROI of 38.82% over the last 20 months with ForexBriefcase. So how do you feel about getting these returns? And do you think ForexBriefcase has exceeded your expectations?
No, I think Qingdao needs to do 50%. You don't think? No, I meant that as a joke, but no, it's far exceeded my expectations. I remember I started by 5%, right? So no, you expect again, as in business, in accounting as well. We talked about earnings. We talk about quality of earnings. That's the key thing that investors need to understand. So you can get very high return, but it is mired with a lot of risk. And even though you may get 50-60%, some people do promise that, it is the quality of that earning is not good. So at 38.82% gross, and when you factor in the risk profile and the risk management that ForexBriefcase and Qingdao in particular does, it is the very highest quality of returns as far as I'm concerned. So just so that you know, you didn't ask me this question yet, but I've got my kids now involved. My daughter is a doctor in the UK, and we've been analyzing all sorts of funds that we can try to do in the UK. And in the end of the day, when I told her about what we do, I got her excited, and that's what I've got, as you know, two accounts. The other account is hers, and my son was still less than 18 years old when he was playing. He's still a professional footballer in Johor Bahru. He's also did his business degree, and he's got his own company, and his money is also a part of my major account. So I've got both my kids involved in it. I send them return results as I get them. So it's been fantastic. It's been really, really good. And yeah, so I have the quality of the earnings is the key thing that I always focused on.
So that's great to hear. So yes, do expect more returns along the way. So apart from the returns, how has the whole process of setting up the account to depositing, withdrawal, and even the service been like for you?
Oh, I've got no complaints. We had one one technical hiccup, and that's because the money was transferred through, you guys changed, the banking details was changed, and it's my fault. I didn't read the latest banking instructions, so we had a bit of a delay in my cash going in, but withdrawal was super easy. Literally click, one click, two click, and that's it, I'm done. Withdrawal is done. And in fact, it got even faster, if I remember. The first time I withdrew maybe 2 days, but this time if I withdraw on the 20th in the morning, I typically get the cash in the same day, latest the morning the next day. No drama at all, which is actually quite interesting, given the difficulty in setting up accounts and other places that I've gone through. But setting up was easy, number one. Number two, it was easy to withdraw. The setting up took a bit of work. In Malaysia, as you know, the transaction limits are kept, so anything above a certain amount has to go through the bank. So, but at that time when I could go to the bank and do the transaction, was easy. Now I think if I would have, because of the lockdown, so just have to bear that in mind. Doing it over the phone is not. I have to go physically to the bank because of the restrictions in Malaysia about transferring more than a certain amount overseas. So other than that, it's been pretty much ForexBriefcase itself, Samtrade itself, that whole setup is child's play.
So with the returns that you made, what are you going to do with it, or what have you already done with it?
As you know, I took a break. I'm taking a break now, which has been more than 2 years. I use this as my running expenses. I've been doing a lot of all of the running expenses of running a place in my house, a pretty large house, so there's a lot of the expenses. So that's what I've been doing with it, and some of it has been saved, and I've actually reinvested. As you know, I started with a small amount, and now I've got a substantial amount. So that amount has gone back into FX as well, because it's not been traveling. So I'm hoping to withdraw some of the profits and not reinvest with ForexBriefcase with Jintao once the travel is allowed, so I can actually go somewhere. But yeah, so I was using it for my own expenses, which is actually one of the other benefits I just should have told you about, is the ability to withdraw the profits. I mean, I could keep it there, but withdraw the profits, and that becomes, I don't have to touch my other capital that is being used elsewhere. So that's been the beauty of it. Yeah.
So with that said, will you recommend ForexBriefcase to others?
Yes, I definitely do. I've been talking to quite a lot of people about it. I mean, situations were a bit better. A lot of people, as you know, are suffering and then unable to make ends meet. So a lot of people are actually holding on to their cash because of afraid of what situations going forward. But as I said, I got my 2 kids involved. I got recently a friend of my son. She was interested in also investing, starting small. I believe she has started. I'm not sure. And I've been talking to a lot of people. Yes, I've been telling lots of people about FX. Again, when I mentioned FX, everybody get a bit nervous. Then I explain to them what I do and how it's being done and what return have I got. As you mentioned, 38.8% gross. It's something that's, and in the context, people must remember, I tell them that the 38.82% was received in the context of what happened during COVID, right? So much uncertainty, so much of fluctuations, and we still managed to get 38.82. It's actually quite remarkable. And so that has actually made a lot of people comfortable. And so I'm pretty sure that after a bit more restrictions are taken out and the loosening of the restrictions and people are getting back to work, I think you will see a lot more of my friends and my family actually getting involved in this. But yes, for sure, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely been getting good returns. I've been putting money back into the investments as well anyway. So yes, that's a big yes.
So yes, get them to join our community. So yeah, it's especially important to do investment, especially during this time with the pandemic and all. So yes, so thank you so much once again for getting on this call with me. It was so nice to hear from you, even despite your busy schedule as well. So yes, so great speaking to you, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.